You're listening to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast, the show with a light-hearted look at the eventing world, all of the big event previews, reviews, and special guests, and of course, backed up with all of the key Echo Rating stats. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast and a brand new episode that we are bringing to you as we head towards Blenheim International Horse Trials this weekend. Now, two special guests on the podcast. It's been a while since I've had these two on a podcast together. I hope they will stay under control. Hello, firstly, Sam Watson.
Bonjour, Nicole Brown. Have you found yourself in a swimming pool underwater or something?
No. Just moved house. Sam. So lovely listeners, I'm really sorry if my audio is not the best in the world, but moved house, you know what it's like. The internet takes about 2 million years to be transferred and you're living out of boxes. Couldn't find any headphones anyway, so even if I had internet, I wouldn't have had a microphone. And yeah, basically sums up my life over the last week or so.
Have you bought a house? What have you done? I should know this as your friend, but what?
That's okay. We sold a house, and it was our house, which was lovely. Sold it, great, big hurdle overcome.
Did you cry? Were you attached?
Did I cry?
Yeah.
Oh, I was really attached to the house, but I didn't cry as much as I thought I was going to cry. Okay. I was quite a big grown-up girl. I was all right. And Oliver's just poking his head in and probably going to say, he says I wasn't allowed to cry because we are going to buy a new house, but it hasn't gone through yet. So we are renting for a couple of months, which means that we kind of don't want to unpack anything too much because then we're going to have to pack it again. And it's just a bit all over the place.
I have to say, you sound even younger on the telephone.
Do I?
Yeah.
Sound like I'm about 12.
Yeah. Anyway, you can kick on and introduce our other guest now.
So apologies, listeners, if my audio isn't great. And hopefully my phone signal will hold up to the test. But Spike is with us too. And Spike was in charge of pressing the record button.
I know, I'm in charge. And I also feel huge pressure about not saying anything until I feel it officially introduced.
Oh, God, don't feel precious, Spike. Just jump in.
I think you're too tired to have cried when you left your house. It sounds like there's just too much going on in your life at the moment.
Do you know what? It went from a mental August to the Europeans, where we went away for a couple of days, which was chaos in itself. And then it went straight
chaos
to
for you is chaos for us. You're like one of our star players. You just disappeared.
I mean, I did a podcast on the Friday night with Derm, and I think it was so terrible he's deleted it. I mean, I don't even know where that went.
He took it down. I mean, to be fair, Sam, I was still at work because I was stood. I think Oliver's got a picture of me stood with Toby in the backpack at the back of the truck with my laptop out, writing stacks questions. So I was still hard at work while I was away. And then I went to Burley, and obviously Burley was brilliant, but it was manic. And then it got back, moved house, and I don't even know my own name anymore. So, yeah, only one thing for it. That's gin. And
gin and Blenheim.
Exactly. Gin, Blenheim, and you two lovely chaps. So we've got two classes to talk about. Which one do you want to go first with? The 4-star long or the 8 and 9-year-olds?
Well, which one do you think produces more 5-star winners?
Well, it's got to be the 8 9-year-olds class.
Yeah. Even going beyond just the winners, I might do this in like a sort of a dramatic type fashion, or I'm going to take the 1, 2, 3s. I'm going to take the horses that have been first, second, and third since that Blenheim 8 and 9-year-old class was founded. And I'm just going to name drop. I can't even get them all on one screen. There's that many of them. So let's start with some name dropping. We've got Avebury. He won a couple of 5-stars, didn't he? Burley 3 times.
Just a few Burleys.
We've got Land Vision, that historic toddy comeback badminton win. We've got Oslo and Bay My Hero, a couple of William Fox Pitt winners in there. We've got Quimbo, who won Kentucky with Andrew Nicholson. We've got one I have to come back to at the moment, but didn't actually win a 5-star. Ferry Dianimo, with Janelle Price, gave Janelle her second 5-star win. And then now we're into like the name dropping. So we got Mr. Bass, runner up. We got Leonidas. There we go.
Toledo. Was Toledo not placed one year? He was going to win it, and then he had a 20. Was he not in the lead, and he had a 20 cross country? Was that not the same year as
possibly?
Mr.
But one day when you learn how databases work, you'll realize that was a really annoying question, because the search I have on right now does not answer that question, Spike. So you're making me sound unintelligent. I've tried so hard.
Well, that's when you rely on statistics.
Lionheart was there. Fernhill Pims was there. Graf Liberty placed badminton. It's just amazing. It's an amazing class. So I think, look, it'd be good to look at it. I don't know if we're going to be able to pick out the next superstars. We can try. I'm going to start with a couple of more recent names. Like I talked about Mr. Bass, who's been runner-up in a 5-star at Le Moulin, but De Capo and London 52, both podium finishes in the 8-9-year-old class at Blenheim last year. So I would start with Laura Collett again, and she's got Sir Papillon there, who is went to Le Lyon with her, and I just think she'll be pretty hungry to right the wrong of Le Moulin. She's had a tough year, but knowing Laura, that is it's pretty good fuel. It's pretty good to get her a bit fired up and feeling like she needs to go and prove a point. That's when she's at her best.
She's had a hard couple of months. You know, the start of her season looked like it was going to be absolutely on board to wipe the floor at Tattersalls. She obviously won Chatsworth with London 52, and I think she's had a harder couple of months. I think you're right, she'll be looking to come out and kind of put those to bed a little bit. But there's some really, really nice horses in this, and I actually think that there's going to be a few who we are maybe seeing for the first time over on British soil, and he is a master of producing young horses. And it's a friend of the eventing podcast, Tom Carlile, because Spike, he's got a horse that's won in Le Lyon previously coming.
So you go for Burmain. Burmain is.
If I throwing you under the bus, Spike?
Yeah, a little bit, but that's fine. I can live with that.
You said you wanted them.
I was going to go with Thomas Carlyle's other horse, the first one in the draw, Barry Louvo,
like the name.
Because I like this name, but also because it's won its last 2 3-star long classes.
Okay. Go on then.
And I just think it's quite cool because it's got Barry in its name. But it finished on its dressage score 24.8 in both classes, most recently at Arras de Pin, which is usually a pretty tough cross-country track as well. So generally the 8-9-year-old track at Blenheim would be not the most challenging cross-country course. So, if this horse is doing mid-20s or low 20s dressage scores, it's got a great jumping record. I think that's quite exciting. I would agree with you. You were mentioning Burmain, which is his other horse that did Le Lyon in 2018.
And she was third so she hadn't won actually Le Lyon. So I did down the garden path slightly.
He fell off her in Le Lyon, so that was what you kind of might have confused me about a little bit.
Third as a 6-year-old in 2017. He fell off her last year, which kind of put a massive dent in his amazing Le Lyon record, which we will no doubt talk about as we head into the Young Horse World Championships in October. But she's a really smart mare. That's the only cross-country jumping foal she's ever had. She's only had 2 poles down from sort of 8 internationals, eventing internationals. Clear cross-country on her debut at 4-star short level at Jardy, which again, I don't think would have been the toughest ask. She had a few cross-country time penalties, but only an 8-year-old coming to Blenheim. I think he's got 2 very, very strong chances here.
You can't say only an 8-year-old when it's the 8 and 9-year-old class, because that's going to be about half of the horses.
Surprise! There's some 8-year-olds in the class. No, but how big is it, Sam? So, isn't it taking an 8-year-old to 4-star level? Is that a massive ask? How long are they likely to have been competing for? Do you do it? What do you think of it?
It just depends on. It does depend on the horse. Like you have you have some of these the horses that just love cross country and have done from day one. You're just counting down the years. I mean, literally, when you're on them as a 7-year-old, you can be going around intermediates thinking this is too easy, going to Le Lion d'Angers and wishing there were less people clear inside the time than there are. And Le Lion is a right test, by the way. I think Le Lion is great, and I actually think Le Lion gets it just right. And you just know you can get a lot of these, even as 8-year-olds. You could be counting down the days to Blenheim, and you don't need to do too much with them beforehand. Spike's correct in that it is built, rightly or wrongly, it is designed as quite a nice first or early 4-star track in a horse's career. And Blenheim is so well built and presented. I always think that these courses ride quite well. They can sometimes walk a little bit imposing. I would say Blenheim hasn't walked quite as imposing in the last few years on either track as what we've sometimes seen from Blenheims in the past. And it's a friendly track, and you can be rubbing your hands waiting to get going. And sometimes the horse can surprise you and come out the start of the season thinking, right, I've got to go to maybe Houghton, maybe Tats, got to go and do my 3-star long, and not have Blenheim in your mind. And next thing, suddenly halfway through the summer, you're thinking, do you know what? Yeah, I think the horse could be ready. So a lot of people want to get here. It's for me, it's been a brilliant invention, and obviously the caliber of horses that we've seen doing well in it coming through have absolutely backed that up. So I think we're going to see some good horses, and great to see Tom Carlisle coming over for it, because he's the master of producing young horses. He is absolutely the king of Le Lion, Le Roi de Le Lion d'Angers.
You got something stuck in your throat there, Sam.
Le Roi. I don't know how you'd say the king. I mean, I said Roy firstly, which is it could be really embarrassing unless there is an area in France somewhere on the East Coast up a mountain in a hill where they pronounce king as the Roy. Anyway,
I'm going to bail you out on this. Okay, right. I've got a bit of an opinion on this. So I would say that for me, the biggest gap in eventing when these horses are being produced is the gap between 3-star and 4-star. So going from intermediate to advanced. And it is a time as a vet, I start seeing horses finding it difficult. And I think that's because of the fact that they have to have changes in their flat work, the fact that they have to jump bigger, and they have to genuinely start being properly fit. So going to the gallops more often. And I think it's when you really start finding whether you've got a proper event horse to go on. So I think for me, it's the biggest step in their production. And I think that's why I think this 8-9-year-old class for me is fascinating, because I think, as you said already, Sam, a lot of them, whether you do Le Lion or not, might do an early spring long format 3. The people over here in Britain will often do the Aston 8-9-year-old class, which is a really good class for everyone to then be ready for this class. And I think it's when people start really finding what they've got under them. So I'm super excited. I look back on Le Lion the last 2 years, and I don't think there is necessarily a huge number of horses jumping out. Like you can look back on Le Lion in years beforehand as, the top 5 or the top 10 there is just littered with horses that have gone on to be stars. And I would say at the moment, if I look back on Le Lion last year, the 7-year-olds, Ingrid won with Asher P, that's gone on and done very well. Tom Jackson second. Cappel's Hollow Drift has done well this year.
Tom's had a cracking season.
Yeah, he's off now with his broken leg, unfortunately. And there's some other nice horses in behind there, but they've not necessarily caught our eye in the same sense. And then if you go back the year before, and I know you already mentioned Sir Papillon for Laura, and I think we'll talk about Astier's horse. But again, the top 10 there, you've got Shadow Man in at 10th. But again, there's some lovely horses in there, but they haven't necessarily gone on and, in a racing term, frank the form to go on and really develop. So there may be some real kind of under the radar horses here, in the 8-9-year-olds at Blenheim that might just come to the fore again, and then they usually reappear at Buccalo, and then we have a real show on what the next couple of years might bring. So yeah, I think it's a great class, and I think it's when you really start seeing what you've got.
And I think that's a pretty good point, actually. A lot of the horses that we see here in the 8 and 9-year-old class actually will be heading to Buccalo for a long format 4-star, particularly the 9-year-olds later on in, first couple of weeks in October. London 52 won here last year, went on to be second at Buccalo. You've had the likes of Chris Burton, Cooley Lands, who've won here and gone on to Buccalo and done very well. It's a kind of a natural progression kind of thing. Who else have we got? I feel like we should talk about Astier's horse, Babylon de Gama, because we've touched upon him. One up at Blair. That's the real standout result. Debut at the level, was third at Le Lion last year, so got a medal at the Young Horse World Championships last year. Finished on their dressage score, sub 30. I'm not going to lie, he didn't beat a really, really tough field up at Blair Castle at the end of August for his win at the level, but it was still a win. He did what he had to do, and he's a very, very smart young horse. And actually, it's really nice to see Astier coming through with something, because Vinci de Levine, who obviously he rode to a top 10 at the World Games last year, part of the French team there that secured qualification, won team bronze, he's not now got a top horse heading into Tokyo. Now, this horse could still very much throw in his name into the hat, bearing in mind he's been a real stalwart for Team France over the last couple of years, to go to Tokyo.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. I want you to talk me through Tom Carlisle's other horse as well in a second. I know we've mentioned Bermain, because I've been waiting for him to step up. When we mentioned him on his first horse, he's had 22 wins in the last 5 seasons internationally, and that puts him in the top 10 amongst, globally with all the other riders. So and the other riders in the top 10 are the likes of Michael Young, Ollie Townend, Klimke, French, Chris Burton.
Who has the most international
He's right
wins?
up there.
Michael Young.
Just in the second half of the decade. So from 2015 onwards, Michael Young's on 41, Townend 35, Ingrid 28, Piggy's Karen Donkers 27, Piggy 26, Julia Krajewski 26, Tommy Smith 24, Shane Rose 23, and Tom Carlisle and Chris Burton both on 22.
Okay.
Big names, but that's why I like your angle with, is this Astier's horse? And we obviously know Astier already, a huge championship rider, multi-medalist, but obviously an individual Olympic medalist as well. So huge caliber. But I just wouldn't be shy of saying that I think Tom Carlisle could step up to that level as well. So I suppose people who, and it's important in this game to always keep one eye on the French team. They just painfully missed out on a team medal at Le Moulin Europeans. Poor Thibaut Valette. They'll be still sore from that one show jump costing them. But yeah, interesting. Definitely, this is the type of class where you can be thinking that way. It's a big step to go from the Blenheim 8 and 9-year-olds to an Olympic Games, but these are the caliber of riders who can do that and pull off that type of ascent.
Absolutely. And I think they'll be thinking with one eye on next year as well, and giving them a good experience. Daryl's got a couple of nice horses coming forward for Team Ireland, Sam.
Yeah.
We've talked about him quite a bit on the podcast, about the fact he's still basically a child. And he's won so many medals. He's obviously, he is. He's like 22, for goodness sake. And he has won so many medals. I bet he doesn't know what to do with them all. But he's won 2 senior medals already, and he's 22. Now, he's got a serious team of horses coming through to kind of back up the likes of Jürgen Ruhr.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this OLS King Aragon. Here, I think they have a good chance. They're coming with Le Lion form as well, from last year. And he's such a great person to be around on the team, because this invincibility that he just oozes it. He just, without being he's very understated. He just like walks around listening to Eminem, and like most people would just walk past him and not know. Like he's not
like the young kid.
He just gets on. Yeah, he just wants to ride horses. Like if he's at a one day event, he's riding about 10 horses. I think he competed, I think 8 horses at Mill Street in the internationals. Then he had young horses in like a young horse exhibition class. I think there were 15 horses from his yard at Mill Street, which is just crazy. And that's what he does. He just rides morning, noon, and night. But he expects to win medals, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way. But that's just normal to him. Like why wouldn't I be winning? And that's not, as I say, no arrogance. Just that's what he does day in, day out. Doesn't matter whether it's show jumping, doesn't matter whether it's eventing. And the other one that I'd give a shout out from Ireland is Brian Morrison as well. He's got Global Mentor here, I think, in the 8-year and 9.
Yep.
But then and the one that really interests me,
well.
exactly, yeah, and that she interests me. Did a lovely dressage test at Campfire. Nice looking type now. New ride for him this season. They've bought him. Global Sport Horses are, they're a big brand now in the sport, and he'll be definitely looking to promote that brand here at Blenheim.
I would actually say that there's a couple of other horses that I think could really put something out there in the first phase. So if we look at what it's taken to win the 8 and 9-year-old class, I think you've got to have come from the top 6 after dressage in the last 5 or 6 years. So you've got to be up there in that first phase. And I think the winners only actually led from the front one with Janelle Price Cloud Dancer back in, I want to say like 2014, 15, something like that. But first phase, Karue, Sarah Bullimore. Now, this is what I want to say is actually out of, and listen to Tigo, I have no internet, so I can't actually check anything that I'm saying, so it could be terribly wrong. Lily Corinne, her 5-star mare, who was
You're
at
correct.
the Europeans with her. Oh, good, that's right then.
You are correct. And is it not it's by Balo de Roue as well, who is the sire of her other horse?
Rev de Roue. Very, very much bred for the job, and went really well at Hartbury, put in an incredible dressage test on their debut at the level. And I think they had a frangible mim clip or a frangible pin out on the cross country for 11 penalties there. So they didn't really push for the time, but the horse looked absolutely class. And I just wouldn't be surprised. Hartbury was tough this year, that certainly wasn't a soft 4-star short. So I would love to see Sarah Bullimore and Karue really stepping up here, and I think they could certainly do so. The young guns, Spike, I'm amazed that you've not mentioned any yet.
Well, just my time. There's some serious young British talent in this class as well, and I think they will be. I think I'd chuck a few of them in the top 10. I think Bubby Upton's horse Cola is a gorgeous type and is a serious horse. He's individual silver medalist at Marsbergen. Yeah, young rider Europeans this year. And I think she'd have high expectations as well. I think she will hope to be, there or thereabouts, and then right up at the sharp end. Heidi Coy with Royal Fury was individual bronze at the Marsbergen Europeans. She did a sub 30 dressage at Mill Street doing the first 4-star short. She got popped out. She had a little bit of a problem and fell off on the cross country, but she's a great cross country rider, real determined, a real name for the future, is very much under Caroline Moore's wing, so she'll be produced herself very well. So I think she'll be very good. And also Yasmin Ingham with Rehi DJ, I think, will also be very much up there, and I would expect top 10 result from Yaz. Lovely horse, super rider. She's really putting a lovely string of horses together there up in Cheshire. And yeah, I think they're 3 really strong young British riders.
Spike, I will see your British, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, your youth trio,
and British youth. Yeah, go on.
And I'm gonna take you
on old Irishman or something.
No. I've mentioned Brian Morrison, and I'm gonna take him on Global De Nires. Cahill, I will take with King Aragon, and I'm gonna throw in Susie Berry and John the Bull, and we're gonna have a team of 3 of Irish young guns versus English young guns.
Oh,
20 grand on the line.
Yes. Done.
Japanese yen. No, definitely not. 20 quid max. That's all I can afford these days. That would be nice. I think this will be fun.
I'll take that bet with you. I'll take that bet with you.
I think that's a really good trio on both sides.
Yeah. Ireland v
John the
England.
Bull was runner-up to Piggy French at Hartbury in the long format 3-star on John the Bull, and just missed out on the win by a second in the show jumping.
Right.
She was
Well, you need to put that out there. Put that out there.
We're gonna put this
media.
up. I'll get Dearm's on holiday this week, so we won't. If somebody else is going to do one of his level of, no one can do Dearm's level of infographics for social media, but I reckon it's on. Irish young guns versus English young guns.
Yep.
Sam's team versus Spike's team.
Together.
Three counting scores.
Every time Derm ever lets me loose with Canva, you can tell he really gives him twitchy fingers because he's so good at graphics and stuff like that, and he loves it. Mine are just ridiculously amateurish in comparison, and it drives him mad. But yeah,
it's all right, Spike. It's short format, so there'll be no substitutions.
Okay, who wins? Oh, I've got, just before we say who wins, I've got one horse, listeners, that you should look out for, because unknown quantity, and he is, again, building an incredible string going into Tokyo next year, but it's a really exciting young horse for him, and that is Christopher Burton, who has a brand new ride that he's bought over from Germany, another one. He had Lawtown Chloe over from Germany at the end of last season as well, but Clever Louis, who has been produced by a young German rider and has stepped up to 4-star level, is going to be just one to watch. Just keep an eye, because let's be honest, he's a wonderful hair. Anything can happen.
Interesting.
Who wins? Let's give us a winner.
Who wins the future of eventing?
Yeah.
The sport is the
that
winner.
was my answer. That was my answer. That's who wins.
Oh, okay. Go on. Spike, give us your winner.
I will go with Piggy French and Calling Card.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I'm going to go with my initial pick. She's going to have to find a few marks improvement here, but no, Better Woman. Laura Collett and Sir Papillon.
Okay.
A little shout out for my friend, though, and I think he'll start strong. And this horse is going to get a big result at some point. But Giovanni Ugolotti and Duca Champion. Okay. They're in this as well. Yeah, but Laura's my pick.
Laura's your pick. Okay, I am going to say Sarah Bullimore Karue.
God, I so nearly picked her. That is a good shout. I think she'll be there or thereabouts.
I really was unbelievably impressed with the horse at Hartbury.
Well, there's one last horse that deserves a mention, only because it's got the record low international score this year. Finishing score is in this class, and William's been quiet, and I wouldn't be surprised if Georgiasaurus just knocked it out of the park as well.
God, good shout.
Yeah. Sarah Bullimore does not get the recognition she deserves, and she's in the form of her life this year.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So I'd love to see her nail a win like that. And this horse did win Osborne last year, as you say. So but I
think this is a really strong class. I think we will be looking at the top 10 of this class in a couple of years' time, going, and these are the horses that have come through from 2019 Blenheim International. Yeah, I would agree. Really, really like the form. Liz Halliday Sharp has Cooley Quicksilver as well, who I put up as my, you don't know their name now, but you will all this time next year or something, whatever that catchy title was at the beginning of the year, who was actually the travelling reserve for the Pan American Games for Team USA. They went over to Lima, Peru, and is running here. I think a few marks to find in the dressage, but damn good chance of finishing on their dressage score. So look out for them as well. Should we go on to the long format 4-star? Because last year won by Bella Innes Part and Carolyn, and this year a good number of strong combinations coming forward, fairly wide open, I would say. But there's one horse that I think we should just start off by talking about, because actually there's another horse in there as well. But Vasily Delasos, Andrew Hoy. Now, the big thing for them this weekend is they want their qualifying ticket to Tokyo. So they need a minimum eligibility requirement results. They have to go clear cross country, etc., etc.
But that's going to kind of be tick box number one. You would hope that that would be the case, but they aren't qualified yet. They would be looking to do that this weekend. Now, the horse has just the most ridiculous record still. And he was one of those that was produced by Tom Carlyle to, what was he, top 10 at Le Lion, both as a 6-year-old and 7-year-old, 6 as a 6-year-old, all in 15 and 16. Hasn't been out of the top 10 in any completed runs with Andrew in the plate. It's been in this year.
Any completed runs? That is such a cop-out.
Oh, do you know what? It's only because there's one really, really annoying retirement on his record from Softbot last year. And it's really annoying because
I'm just going to ignore it. If I don't like how it looks, I'm just going to ignore it. It doesn't exist. I'm just going to ignore it, and then I'll just make up a new.
At the World Games.
How about he's done 20 internationals and he's never won one, and he's only been second once? How about that? He's never been in the top 2 with Andrew Hoy. How about turning it out? That sounds awful. I sound like such a facilitator. Obviously, I love this horse. It was 4th at WEG last year, and I can't wait to see it. But for me, he's gonna need an old school Blenheim that is basically just the appetizer for badminton, the warm up round for badminton. It's gonna have to be big. It's gonna have to be bold, because he's surely gonna have to catch, possibly 10 horses after the dressage phase.
Yeah, Sam, I'm on board with you. I don't think this is the class for him. This is a qualification. I can't see this working in his favour to his strengths. I think
he deserves a mention because he is a great. You're right, Nicole. He is. I was pulling your leg, and he is it, and I think we all love him. But I suppose it's hard for Andrew because Andrew is. I mean, how much of him do we expect to see after Tokyo? The rider. I don't know. I'm going on all sorts of tangents here in terms of.
You're going to spread rumours here, but if you've got a horse in Vasily de Lassos that after Tokyo is only still going to be a 12-year-old, you will damn well be carrying on. Andrew will be in that saddle carrying on because he has had one pole down in 17 international show jumping rounds. He's only ever been an accumulated 11 seconds over the time. I totally get what you're saying. He has to improve the dressage, but he should damn well finish on that dressage score. Now, he scored a personal best in the dressage last time out in Aachen. He needs the same again here. He needs another PB, but he should finish on it. And if he can do that and tick the box for Tokyo and get a top 5 result, I'd say win for Andrew Hoy. Not the literal win, but like
a win, but not winning.
A win, but he's not actually won anything. But you know what I mean.
That's got to be one of my favourite clips when we just go back to you going, a win for Andrew Hoy. I mean, not literally, but no. Look, again, and this is to be honest, as much as I'm the data person here with equi ratings and everything like that. What I love about horse sports, whether it's whatever guise of a horse sport it is, I think sometimes when you go to these big events, whether it's the Cheltenham Festival, whether it's Royal Ascot, whether it's Badminton, Burghley, Blenheim, to go and see some of the great horses in the flesh and get an eye and get a feel for what talented horses looks like. I mean, they generally come in all different shapes and forms and sizes anyway, which is part of the beauty of it. But go and watch someone who is as decorated in the sport as Andrew Hoy. He was at the World Championships with my dad in 1978. I mean, that is an incredible career. And go and watch.
I enjoy you saying that.
He's gonna. I mean, please do not tell Andrew Hoy that this podcast has happened.
You know what? We've actually got Andrew Hoy coming up on a Fairfax Saddle special soon. So all of these.
That's all right. Just don't tell him about this podcast. I love Andrew. We had a great chat in Lamoule, and he's fantastic. And I do actually think he'll keep going because he. You don't look at him and think he's on the verge of retirement. He's got a spring in his step. He goes around in like quite trendy clothes. Actually, he's a young dad. He's
just had second baby.
Yeah. No, he's got a spring in his step, and he's being. I suppose the thing with. I mean, to be honest, if I was being greedy as a fan, I would have loved to have seen Basilia at Burley. I mean, because I think he could have won it. Do you know what I mean? I think he could have really given them a run.
Give it 2 years.
Exactly.
I
And I
was
think,
gonna
and
say,
that's a
give it 2
sensible,
years.
that is a sensible, that
Tokyo.
absolutely. Yeah. It's a sensible
And
option, but.
And
There we go.
Andrew was pretty clear with, I think he came on the Adelaide preview podcast, I think it was back end of last year with Derm. And he was pretty clear that if the horse went to any 5-star this year, it would have been the Moulin. But the aim is Tokyo. Tokyo, and then they'll take it from there. But yeah, qualifying result for them this weekend, but they should finish on their dressage score. It'll be very, very close to it. Another horse that's going to be thinking about Tokyo would be Kazuma Tomoto. He's the rider, not the horse. Brook Park Vicente, obviously, who was runner-up at Blenheim to Cooley Lands a couple of years ago, actually in the 8 and 9-year-old class. Led the dressage in the Moulin 5-star this summer. The wheels fell off the bus slightly in the cross-country. They need to put them back on, but again, a good result here could really see them kind of tick the box for Team Japan on Japan Watch as well. So looking forward to seeing what they can do. I think it will be a qualifying result. I know, Spike, was it yourself or Sam? Kieran and I had big debates over the run-up to Campfire, over, you know, who would be going for fast runs and wins and who would be going for qualifying tickets. But I think this one could be a qualifying ticket.
Yeah, no, and every time that you've talked about Japan, people said, "Oh, they'll just go for a qualifying result," and I have disagreed every time, and I think I've been correct.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's because Team Japan is so competitive. You have to compete to get on the team. There is no, there's no free places. But I mean, Brook Park Vicente just has a slightly checkered. He blotted his copybook a little bit, Le Moulin.
Yeah. And
So-
has had a couple of other sort of dips in form. So I would say that that's their first and foremost plan here.
Potential candidate for first phase leader, though.
Absolutely. And there's some really good first phase horses. So Emily King Dargan, who were the Blenheim under 25 winners last year, they're back. You've got the likes of, who else is there? Pippa Funnel, Billy Walcott.
I've got Izzy Taylor and Monkeying Around, and
and
Pippa and Billy Walcott will both do 22, 23 kind of dressages, I reckon. And actually, if it is Blenheim has been built in the same ilk as in the last couple of years, I just think both of those would be very much fancy being there or there, being in the front end of that after cross country. Izzy's horse Monkeying Around has monkeyed around a little bit cross country, hasn't it, and had a few 20s. But I think it's got if there was a, where we're saying that it maybe isn't the event that would suit vastly down to the ground, I think you could see a horse that is a little bit more inconsistent cross country getting the result here at Blenheim. So I think I'd have Izzy and Monkeying Around and Pippa and Billy Walk on another super horse, and does a great dressage. So I think both of them would be, for me, looking at top 3.
I'm going to ask you now, Billy Walk on, Pippa Funnel. Pippa hadn't won at 4 or 5-star level since 2005 when she won Badminton until Burley. Now, before Burley, she rode at the Europeans and was an absolutely fantastic pathfinder. Rode the best round cross country I had seen her ride in absolute years. She then went and delivered at Burley to take the win. I feel like she is riding in such confidence at the minute, which we know has such a big impact on her performance anyway. Do you think she can do back-to-back wins at sort of top level 4 and 5-star?
She's got a very good chance, and she's got Billy the Biz in this class as well. But I that's exactly what I was thinking. Form and look, we've always liked Billy Walk on as well. Again,
Jenny Autry somewhere is jumping up and down in the United States, managing eventing over there basically, and she will be going. She put Billy Walk on up for Lilion a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I think she had her as her dark horse for this year. In that, he's not had that. He's probably not followed that up yet being the operative word. And as you say, with Pippa in the form she's in, and with the quality that this horse possesses, It's a big one, and you couldn't rule it out. And that's just the way sport tends to go, because when you're on form, you're basically your confidence, and you believe in your system. And obviously Pippa Funnell has an incredible system. She just needs to do what she does, and it'll be there. So I think she's got a very good chance.
Talk of form, Piggy French, and she has a couple of horses in here. Castletown Clover, who is a really, really lovely horse, has a very good chance himself. But the one I want to kind of put up there is Brookfield Innocent, who was runner-up to Quarry Crest Echo at Hartbury and was majorly impressive, particularly on the cross-country, tough cross-country track. Really nailed it. And I think this is a serious superstar for her for the future. And I think she's probably thinking quietly in the back of her mind, this could very much still be one that could challenge Team GB for Tokyo.
You've still not mentioned the winner, though.
Well, I'm leaving it for you, Spike. Leaving it for you. Take it away.
Superstition, Lucy Jackson, Frank the Form of Mill Street. She's going to come here. She was amazing on the preview for Mill Street, talking about how there was a progression from the horse on the flat to get the scores that he was showing at home to actually doing it within the boards, and he did a 26 point something at Mill Street, and that was a real step on for him, and I can see him doing similar, and I would see him finishing on it. He's a super jumper. He's getting stronger and fitter all the time. Cross country, I would have him finishing on somewhere between a 25 and a 27, and I don't think anything else will. There we go.
I actually think that's a fascinating one for Team New Zealand, because she was third at Chatsworth Event Rider Masters. She had a top 5 finish at Bramham in the long format. She obviously won Mill Street Event Rider Masters, beating some very good horses. And if she comes to Blenheim and puts in another strong, even just call it a top 5 result, that would be a major kind of sit up and look at me to the New Zealand selectors going into next year. So
I'll give you another little angle on that, which will be an interesting thing. We like a little, compare the two. I would say, from the point of view looking forward to Tokyo, I would say that you've got Tim and Janelle for Team New Zealand, and then I think that third slot is eagerly contested. I would say the other horse is in this class as well.
Didn't actually, so Caroline Powell and Dan Jocelyn. Caroline jumped clear with On the Brash at Burley, but it had a few time penalties, or quite a few time penalties. And Dan Jocelyn Blackthorn Cruise had 20 penalties cross country. So neither really kind of made themselves like.
Yes, but I think there's another horse. There's another horse in this class that I think, or a combination in this class that wouldn't be far away, having had a very good result at Aachen, and that's Jessie Campbell in Cleveland. I think they need to jump a few more clear rounds, because I think they've got a few poles in their record, but it's a horse that's capable of being in the mid to late 20s. Dressage, his cross country record's getting stronger and stronger, and I think those two horses, I think the New Zealand selectors will be looking at this class very interestingly for that.
Agree. And actually, Kevin McNabb for Australia has a couple of really nice rides, who both have run well this summer. So he could very much stick sort of a good solid result on the board for Team Australia.
And there's a forgotten Kiwi in there as well. I'm not sure if he had the actual nation. I was completely taken by Andrew Nicholson's horse, As Is, at Bramham. It's really striking. Another Spanish horse. And I would be very interested to see how it progresses here. But I think that could be another, and the next one for him as being a real top horse. Winner at 5-star, I think. Yeah.
And actually, we're seeing quite a few US combinations coming forward. And Catherine Coleman, Monte Classico, have won at this level previously last season. Really, really smart horse. And so I think another one to watch out for, to kind of really lay down a challenge from horses perhaps that you aren't necessarily as familiar with. Any others that we want to mention? Kate Wall's Cooley Lands are running. Tim Price has got Falco, who was so impressive until a late run out in the Event Rider Masters in Shardy. And actually that horse has had a couple of problems on the cross country on his record, but Blenheim could well suit him. And I'm looking forward to seeing them in the future as well. Sam, anybody you want to throw into the mix?
Oh, I really like the progression of that as is of Andrew, and having, I would trust Spike Milligan the vets completely. So I look forward to seeing him. Just looks to be, I mean, very nearly finishing on its dressage score in the 4-star long at Bramham, but then taking 8 marks off the dressage test when it dropped down a level to the 3-star at Barbary. But there's not, basically dressage isn't that level specific and dependent. I suppose it can be an 8-year-old, maybe flying changes or something like that, not quite established yet, but I could see him going well. And yeah, the Lucy Jackson one is huge. I think she's having such a consistent season with Superstition. So no, just backing up what you guys have said, really. Obviously Lucy beating Imperial Sky and Sam Watson at Mill Street, really
Huge
painful,
result.
but what a line of form that is.
Well, I did say that it would frank the form.
Thank you, Spike.
Yeah, so Greb and Alex Bragg went on to win Gatcombe 3-star at the weekend, which I think is going to set them up nicely for a tilt at the Event Rider Masters Series finale in Lignières in a couple of weeks' time as well. I'm just going to throw...
see him there for a revenge grudge match.
Exactly. Are you going to Lignières, Sam?
I think so. I haven't fully settled on it. It's a long way from Ireland. So if I can sort logistics, I'll probably be there.
You should do it. One person that I'm just going to give a good mention to, and that actually is Nick Lucy, who has Croon Leader and Proud Courage in the field. He was top 10 RBL Event Rider Masters, and he has also been just reserve British national champion at Gatcombe in the summer, in August. And I think he's been on very, very good form, and I don't think that should be discounted. I'd like to see him run well this weekend. Go on, give us a winner. Who is going to win the long format at Blenheim? Sam, you go first.
Pippa Funnel, Billy Walk On.
Okay. And you, Spike?
Superstition, Lucy Jackson.
Okay, you said that. You have said that from the outset, even before we started talking about Blenheim.
Love that horse. Proper horse.
Yeah, he is gorgeous, and I would so be delighted for Lucy, because she's very, very hardworking. She's very lovely, very talented, and it would be great to see her sort of back at pushing for a Kiwi team again. I'm torn between Billy Walk-On, Pippa Funnel, and Piggy French and Brookfield Innocent. I think I'm going to say that Pippa's going to do the double. I'm going to agree with you, Sam. I think Billy Walk-On is the one to beat. I think Brookfield Innocent won't just be quite in touch enough with him after the first phase. But it should be good fun. Should be good. And do you know if we can watch Blenheim? Do you think it's streaming?
It did last year, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know for certain. I hope so.
Well, we will find out. But listeners, if you want to get involved in the chat on the Flick group throughout Blenheim, I'm sure there will be plenty of it. Just search Eventing Podcast once you've downloaded the Flick Chat app from your app store for free. And we'll be back very soon. We've got an exciting couple of weeks coming up. We've got a few special episodes. We've got some very special guests, and we hope that you will enjoy it. Thank you, Sam.
You are most welcome, Nicole. It was an absolute pleasure as always. You just bring joy and a radiant sense of positivity and insightful wisdom to the eventing world.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I didn't know you could do irony in Ireland.
Bye, Spike.
See you, Nickers.
But no, we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Eventing Podcast. In the meantime, Sam, you're my friend. Spike, you are not. But you're okay, really.
Thank you for listening to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast. This podcast is available for free on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you usually listen to your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Find us at eventingpodcast.com or search Eventing Podcast on social media.